Good evening and welcome to the 2019 UT Dallas Awards Gala. I'm Mike Brody, Chair of the University's Executive Board. Like many of you with us tonight, I am also a proud UT Dallas graduate. And I still want to remind you, there's a tournament going on in basketball. When it comes to football, the Comets are still undefeated. It's wonderful to have you all here on our beautiful, ever-evolving campus. Tonight, as we celebrate the 17th Annual Awards Gala, we look forward to introducing and recognizing 5 extraordinary individuals. Their notable personal accomplishments and tireless efforts to benefit their communities makes us all so proud. Before we go any further, please know that the bar will remain open in the back of the room throughout the evening. Go ahead. In addition, if you have not already started your salads, please enjoy them now. At this time, I would like to acknowledge the elected officials and special guests who are joining us here this evening. The Honorable Fred Hill, former Texas State Representative for District 112, who tonight will be receiving the Gifford K. Johnson Community Service Award. I've known Fred longer than either of us want to confess to, so. And from the Richardson City Council, Mayor Paul Volcker. Additionally, we're pleased to be welcoming a number of past honorees. With us this evening are Brent Christopher, past recipient of the Gifford K. Johnson Community Leadership Award, Green and Orange Award for Alumni Service honorees, Wei Dong, An-Chi Koo, David Williamson, and members of the Eugene McDermott Scholars Alumni Association, and distinguished alumni Albert Black, Jerry Comer, Sati Hajit, Dr. Susan Fleming, Ann Graves, Robert Holmes, Bill Krennick, Jerry Madden, Mago, A.K. Mago, Charles Matthews, Ron Nash, John Olajuwade. I'm so proud of myself on that one. It's a beautiful name. Jim Von Eyre and Yi Zhao. Returning honorees, would you please stand and be recognized? Thank you all for your continued commitment to UT Dallas and for being with us again tonight. Finally, I would like to recognize our generous sponsors for tonight's gala. Presenting sponsor, Access, the City of Richardson, and Larry and Venice Stewart. Thank you all for your support of the university. And now, to begin our ceremony tonight, I would like to introduce UT President Richard Benson. Dr. Benson has overseen remarkable growth for the university in his first 3 years as president, and has plans for even greater things to come in the future. He and his wife, Leslie, have joined us tonight to celebrate some of the remarkable individuals who have contributed to the growing stature of our university. At this time, I would like to invite President Benson to say a few words. Dr. Benson?
Thank you, Mike. Leslie and I are very pleased to have you all join us in tonight's celebration. To the alumni and friends gathered here, let me extend my warmest welcome to you all. It seems like just yesterday that I attended my very first awards gala at UT Dallas, and of course it practically was just yesterday because this is the 3rd one that I've attended. But even in my relatively brief time here, I've witnessed some changes to this event. For instance, this gala now takes place in our campus in this wonderful facility built for alumni by alumni. In fact, the opening of this center took place early in my presidency. I knew that it was a welcome addition to our campus, but I had no idea that it would so quickly become a hub for some significant moments in our community. We have hosted the UT System Board of Regents and members of the Chancellor's Council. We have welcomed new students at the beginning of the year with a meal and entertainment on the lawn. Members of the community have used this space for a variety of events. In other words, UT Dallas has grown into the possibilities promised by this Alumni Center. Very much in the same way, we have grown into the possibilities envisioned by our 3 co-founders when UT Dallas was established a little over 50 years ago. I like to imagine what the reactions of Eric Johnson, Eugene McDermott, and Cecil Green would be if they could see this beautiful campus today. Obviously, we can't have the founders with us here tonight, but we do have the distinct pleasure of honoring two people who witnessed the very earliest days of our existence, and happily they continue to be a part of our story. We will also celebrate three alumni whose paths have been far from narrow. Instead, they have expanded their journeys after graduation from UTD in ways that have changed the lives of others, and they are making a difference in the world. Tonight's celebration represents a lot of passion, a lot of commitment, and a lot of hard work by many people. This event has always been a way for us to say thank you. In addition, we get to honor those who champion UT Dallas. Being a champion for UT Dallas is probably one of the easiest tasks we can ask of anyone. After all, we are a top research university in Texas, poised to take its place on the national stage. Our graduates now number over 117,000 individuals, with almost 2/3 living in the Metroplex. Our student body is one of the nation's most distinctive, and in the state, for both academic excellence and diversity. Our research is yielding solutions that impact thousands of lives. For example, while we are not a medical institution, our research has medical implications. Millions of dollars in new funding from state and federal agencies support cancer-related research at UTD. Fundamental cancer research is one of the most important things we do, and it is supported by the Cancer Prevention and Research Institute of Texas, or CPRIT, the Department of Defense, and other agencies. Our partnerships with industry anchor our role as an economic engine for our region. In 2018, I joined more than 40 business and government representatives from the region who traveled to Europe on an economic development-focused trip. This was a unique opportunity for the university to forge new connections with potential partners, to visit with entrepreneurs at the cutting edge of their fields, and to share the resources that we can bring to bear in making their ventures in our region successful. And by the way, the trip was organized by a champion for UT Dallas and a 2004 graduate, Mitzi Kalampo. Mitzi earned an MBA in the Jindal School and is the Senior Manager of International Marketing and Public Relations for DFW Airport. We are quickly becoming a destination for the arts, with the addition of several notable art collections that eventually will be housed in new art facilities on campus. In the last year, we received a generous gift from the Trammell and Margaret Crow family that includes the entire collection of the Crow Museum of Asian Art. And from Richard and Luba Barrett, the university was gifted the largest and finest public collection of Swiss art ever assembled. And I'm going to break from my scripted comments just to say I think it's over at table 22 that we have some folks from the Crow Museum who are now UTD alumni, faculty and the like. So. We're so pleased that they are part of this UTD family. I've observed many times that the acquisition of the art is quite precious, but we've acquired just a tremendous depth of talent and scholarship with our new colleagues, so thank you and welcome. So along with our other collections and curriculum development, we will be able to offer deep and wide resources for research and teaching in the arts. It is truly a great time to be a Comet. So thank you all for being our champions. I look forward to even greater accomplishments in the future with your help. Enjoy the evening, and now I turn the podium over to Kyle Edgington, Vice President for Development and Alumni Relations. Thank you.
Thank you, Mike and Dr. Benson. And thanks to each of you for being with us for this very special evening. You know, as a graduate of UT Dallas, it's a privilege to honor my fellow Comets and several exceptional friends of the university. Our honorees' impact continue to inspire the UT Dallas community, home to thousands of students, faculty, staff, who look to individuals like these as role models of innovation, service, and leadership. So now, for the first award of the evening. The Gifford K. Johnson Community Leadership Award recognizes individuals outside of our alumni body whose exceptional passion, enthusiasm, and achievement in advancing the cause of the university sets them apart. The namesake of this award, Dr. Gifford Johnson, became president of the Graduate Research Center of the Southwest in 1965. Gifford served the institution that would become UT Dallas in the critical formative years just prior to the university founders' gift of the Research Center and its lands to the state of Texas. This gift resulted in the creation of UT Dallas in 1969. Gifford's passion, his pride, tireless dedication to the university continued until his passing in 2009 at the age of 91. This year's first honoree, the Honorable Fred Hill, has also demonstrated unwavering support for UT Dallas. Over the course of 20 years in the Texas House of Representatives, Fred Hill championed legislation that dramatically shaped the future of this university. In 1989, Mr. Hill served as co-author of the legislation that authorized UT Dallas to admit freshmen and sophomores. The adoption of this pivotal legislation expanded access to higher education to thousands of students and marks a very significant milestone in the history of the university. As a leader, Fred was also a strong advocate for efforts to secure funding for major investment in the university's engineering programs through Project Emmett, which resulted in state appropriations from the Texas Enterprise Fund and the eventual construction of the Natural Science and Engineering Research Laboratory. While Mr. Hill retired from the legislature in 2008, he remained a model of leadership and public service, as well as an advocate for UT Dallas. He continues to provide our McDermott Scholars an insider tour of the Texas Capitol when they visit Austin, and he takes time annually to mentor the newest recipients of the Fred Hill Scholarship Award, a scholarship created by the university and its supporters, to which Mr. Hill has contributed generously over the years. Some of the students he has inspired with this scholarship are celebrating here with us tonight. So now let's learn a little bit more about Fred Hill.
The Honorable Fred Hill worked multiple jobs to put himself through college, throwing the LA Times from 3 to 6 a.m. before driving a school bus in the morning hours, managing an office supply store, and preparing returns during tax season. His efforts earned him a bachelor's degree in accounting from California Polytechnic State University. Within a few years of graduation, Fred moved his family to Richardson, Texas, and began building a national sales company, specializing in imports and stationery products. With a love of learning and an appreciation for the value of education instilled by his mother, it's no surprise that Fred's career in elected public service began on the school board for the Richardson Independent School District. As a special bonus, the position allowed Fred the opportunity to personally present high school diplomas to 4 of his children. Elected to his first term in the Texas House of Representatives in 1989, Fred would serve for 20 years as representative of District 112, which includes the university's home city of Richardson. During his time at the Capitol, Fred's many appointments included chair of the Local Government Ways and Means Committee, the Urban Affairs Committee, the Committee on Affordable Housing, and the Committee on Public School Finance's Subcommittee for Facilities. As a member of the state legislature, Fred was an advocate for education in Texas and made a special impact on the trajectory of UT Dallas. He supported legislation that authorized the university's first classes of freshmen and sophomores in 1990 and was instrumental in the realization of several transformative capital projects, including the Natural Sciences and Engineering Research Laboratory and the Student Services Building. Each legislative session, Fred provided valuable experiences for UT Dallas students, welcoming tour groups and providing internships. After retiring from the legislature, Fred continues to work in Austin on behalf of many North Texas cities, including Richardson. Fred and his wife of 61 years, Janine, have 5 children and 15 grandchildren. At UT Dallas, the Fred Hill Endowed Scholarship for Public Service was established in Fred's honor and provides annual support to students majoring in political science, public affairs, public policy, or political economy.
Of all of us here at UT Dallas, thank you for your extraordinary service. Please come forward to accept the Gifford K. Johnson Community Leadership Award. Mr. Hill will be accompanied by Amanda Rocco, Vice President for Public Affairs at UT Dallas.
Well, thank you very much. It's a tremendous honor to be here. And I have a great respect for this university and all that you have accomplished. I think it would be helpful to you to see from a perspective that I have about how the university has evolved to what it is today. My wife Janine and I, actually, we just live down the street. When you go out of here, I think the street is called, what is it called outside there? No, it's not Waterview out here. Yeah. But at any rate, we just live on Waterview Drive. And we both grew up in California. And I started a company with some other fellows out in California. And when I finally graduated, incidentally, it took me 8 years to get through college. And some of you may have had the same experience, I'm sure. And I was not the best student. I was just a student in a hurry to get out, to tell you the truth. But we grew up in an area of California, Southern California. And when the time came for us to move to this part of the country, my partners and I chose me to come to Texas. They stayed in California. Texas was sort of a stepping off place for the rest of the country. And I came to Dallas because of the market center. But before I came here, I talked to a lot of people about Texas. And they told me, you cannot sell in Texas unless you are a Texan. So I was a little nervous about the way things were going to develop. And the first call I ever made in Texas was in El Paso. And I called on the Popular, which is a department store there. And the first fellow I met was a guy named Frank Weiss, who had just moved there from Brooklyn. And he was the buyer. He didn't care where I was from. I showed him the product that we had, and it was a catalog of merchandise. And that we would distribute to his customers, and they would do mail orders and so forth from it. He liked the idea. He said, come with me. So we went up to see the owner of the store, who I think he's either the grandson or the son of the founder. And his name was, forgot it. But the store was the Popular. Oh, I remember, Mr. Edward Schwartz. And Mr. Schwartz was sitting at his desk, and Frank just burst into the room and threw my catalog down in front of Mr. Edward and said, I want this. And he pounded right on the desk. Mr. Edward just calmly picked it up and looked at it, said, okay. So my first order in the state of Texas was $20,000. No big deal. It was very easy to sell in Texas. All you had to have was a guy like Frank around. When I had more of a lengthy conversation with Mr. Schwartz, and I told him where I was headed, and I was going to move my family to Dallas, and because of the market center. He said, well, if you want to go to Dallas, you will want to live in Richardson. They have the best schools. So when we came here, did I hear somebody about to clap back there? That was a school board member, no doubt. So when we came here, we took a little apartment down near the airport, Love Field, and every time I would go out looking for business, and if it was anywhere near this area, I would go into Richardson, and there was a house on Waterview Drive that I really liked, and I kept driving into the driveway, and it had a creek behind it, and I came from the desert. And I liked it. And so Janine and I, the kids, went back to California for a couple of weeks at Christmas time. And we talked about it. And I said, if that thing is still for sale, let's buy it. So when we came back, it was, and we did. And we paid $37,500 for it. The neighbors said that I overpaid. And I might have. But we've lived in that house now for 51 years. And I always like to say, same house, 51 years, same wife, 61 years. And I'd like to introduce my wife, Janine. Would you stand up? I want to tell you about another little story, and it is related to what happened to the University of Texas at Dallas. You will not realize it because of the way I tell it. But as I looked for customers, I would go into a town and I'd take the yellow pages. And I hate to admit this, and you're all upstanding and probably never committed a crime in your life. But I'd tear the yellow pages out. I'd tear that section out that had potential customers on it. And when I go to my motel at night, I would map out the location of each one of those stores on a map. And then the next day, I would be able to start and have a routine to follow, looking for people, looking for customers. In Fort Worth, I found a Hallmark shop. And I went into this Hallmark shop, and the owner also owned a bicycle shop next door, and there was an arch in between the two. And as I went through the arch up to his office, there were plaques all along the wall of that stairwell going all the way up. I had never seen anyone that had dedicated that much of their life to public service. This man became a good friend of mine. And that day, he took me out to show me his newest investment, which was a super slide, which you folks probably remember. But he became a good friend, and we stayed good friends for a number of years. And I'm telling you this for a good reason. When I became a member of the legislature, it was in 1988 that I was elected. The governor of the state of Texas in that time was Bill Clements. Do you folks remember Bill? Well, I remembered him too, because I had been the president of the Rotary Club here in Richardson when he spoke to us a couple of years prior to that time. And as the president of the Rotary Club, you stand up when it's time for someone to stop talking. Well, I stood up beside Bill Clements, and he looked over at me and he said, "Sonny, you can leave if you want to, but I'm not through talking." So I felt like I got off to a good start. And then when I got elected to the legislature, he had been elected again. If you've been a Texan for a long time, you might remember that Bill Clements was the first Republican since the Civil War. And he had 2 terms, but they were not consecutive. There was an interim in there. And he was in his 2nd term. The issue before the legislature was the status of the freshmen and sophomores. I was really astounded by what I found to be higher education politics. I didn't know it existed. The bill in the regular session didn't make it. It didn't come out, which would have allowed UTD to have freshmen and sophomores. And the reason it didn't come out was because there was opposition. Now, first of all, Governor Clements was a Republican. The Speaker was a Democrat. The Lieutenant Governor was a Democrat. But I'm not saying that that was the real problem. But the majority of the members in the body were Democrats, and then the Republicans had a very small minority, a little over 30 members at that time. And the momentum for that bill just wasn't there. And we started working very hard on lining up support, going to every member and presenting the reasons that we needed to have freshmen and sophomores here. And it took me a long time to figure out what the opposition was. The opposition was competition. There was competition around in the area. And when I was talking to these members about it, I would get them to sign on as a sponsor of the bill. And I remember one from Dallas at the time, Steve Woolens. You folks remember Steve probably. Steve told me, he said, Fred, it doesn't matter how long you stay here, this will be the most important thing that you ever do. And he was probably right. So we had strong support from some people like Peter O'Donnell. And Peter O'Donnell was the chairman of the Republican Party in Texas at that time. And he was very instrumental in getting this accomplished. But to get it done, you had to have the support of the Speaker and the Lieutenant Governor. The Speaker was from Fort Worth. And my friend that I told you about that owned the bicycle shop in the Hallmark store, he had, by that point, owned a total of 20 Hallmark stores, still owned the bicycle store, the shop. But he was also the mayor of Fort Worth at that time. And his name was Bob Boland. I'm sure some of you remember Bob. But he was a fine man. And I went to see Bob and talked to him about what problems we were having getting the movement into the bill. And I felt like that we needed more help from the leadership. And Bob said, well, I'll help you on that. And that was all we ever said about it. And then pretty soon, that session ended and we had to go into a special session. But in the special session, there was a different attitude toward the passage of the piece of legislation. And we were successful in getting it accomplished. And I want to tell you, I know Mr. Johnson is here somewhere, Philip Johnson. When this bill passed, the university had sort of a celebration over in the room above the library. And I was invited, and I was given the seat that I consider the seat of honor between Eric Johnson and Cecil Green, two of the founders, of the three founders of Texas Instruments and also of this university. And I will tell you, it was the best evening I've ever had with a couple of strangers, you know. These guys had known each other since they were very young, and they weren't young anymore. And I actually just eased back in my chair because they were picking at each other across me all evening long, and it was all fun. I was really impressed with them, and it was a terrific evening. And I am so proud that they are the founders of this university. I have a son, Dan, who's over here, and he's a graduate of UTD, and he's also a 21 or 22-year employee of Texas Instruments. And it's been a great company for him to work at. So I just wanted to tell you that, and so you get a feeling for how sometimes legislation isn't as clear-cut as you might think it is, and it takes a little help from a guy that runs a bicycle shop sometimes to get it accomplished. And I want to tell you that I have been so happy to be associated with the University of Texas at Dallas. Started out 8,000 students. We're now at 29,000. I don't know where all this is going to end, but it's been great. And I want to thank you very much for the award and for your presence here tonight. Thank you. I forgot one thing that I was going to do.
Stand right here.
Amanda, come right here, would you? I have a pen here that Governor Clements used to sign that legislation. Now he gave that to me the day he signed it, and it's been rattling around in my desk drawer for the last 30 years. So I know that Amanda will find some good place to display that.
Thank you, Fred. That was great. You know, I spoke to Fred on Friday, and I said, we were talking about the evening, and he said, how long do I get to speak? And I said, about 2 minutes. And he laughed. But I guess when you do something like this and you author legislation that builds this university, you can have as long as you want. So you're here. Very well done. So our second awardee this evening is Philip Johnson. Philip will also be receiving the Gifford K. Johnson Community Leadership Award for his exceptional support, dedication, and enthusiasm for UT Dallas. The son of UT Dallas co-founder Eric Johnson, Philip was inspired by his father's dream of creating an MIT of the Southwest. Over the last 50 years, he has played an integral role in making that dream a reality. Philip served as co-chair of the university's Realize the Vision campaign from 2009 to 2014, and currently serves, along with his wife Diane, as honorary co-chair of the Johnson School's Fearless 2020 initiative, an effort to raise $20 million by 2020 to enhance teaching, research, and provide access to students, all students, underrepresented students including. So personally, and through his foundation, Philip has generously supported students and research across this university. As an entrepreneur and innovator himself, Philip launched his professional career in the petroleum production industry in Midland. He later turned his attention to the airwaves, taking ownership of Signal Media of Arkansas and fulfilling a personal dream that began with constructing his own radios in high school. So now let's learn a little bit more about Philip Johnson.
Born in New Jersey and raised in Dallas, Philip Johnson has been an active member of the business and civic communities for over 60 years. The son of UT Dallas and Texas Instruments co-founder Eric Johnson, Philip has built upon his father's spirit of innovation and entrepreneurship. After serving in the United States Army during World War II, Philip earned a bachelor's degree in both physics and industrial science and engineering administration from MIT in 1948. He then spent his early career working in petroleum exploration and production. In 1961, Philip founded the Great Plains Land Company in Midland, Texas, serving as president and chairman of the board of the petroleum producer. While living in Midland, Philip served on boards for several community organizations, including the Midland Cerebral Palsy Center, the American Cancer Society, and the Midland Independent School District. After returning to Dallas, Philip fulfilled a lifelong love of radio broadcasting by undertaking co-ownership of a Dallas radio station with his brother and sister. He is currently the president of Signal Media of Arkansas, which operates 3 radio stations in Little Rock, and published a series of history textbooks for public schools. Philip remains an active civic leader in both Dallas and Little Rock. In Dallas, he co-founded the Dallas Symphony Foundation Board, is honorary chair of the Eric Johnson School of Engineering and Computer Science Executive Council at UT Dallas, and was a member of the Dallas Arboretum Advisory Board. In addition, Philip was a trustee of the Johnson Foundation, and is currently trustee and president emeritus of the Philip R. Johnson Foundation, through which he supports education, health, and youth social services. Philip has been married to his wife Diane for 10 years. He has 4 children, Christina, Stephen, Eileen, and Suzanne, a son Kenny who is deceased, 7 grandchildren, 1 great-grandchild, and another on the way. At UT Dallas, the family established the Johnson Family Graduate Fellowship in Bioengineering, and have been loyal supporters of the Johnson School.
To the stage, Philip Johnson, escorted by Johnson School Dean Porras Balsara.
Congratulations, Mr. Johnson. This is just a delight to have you back. I got to spend some time with you when we dedicated the plaque to your father and the other founders. And I wonder if you could tell us a few words of what it must have been like to visit with your father, Eric Johnson, when you first came to this field in Richardson that eventually became UT Dallas.
I don't think my 2 minutes is up yet.
No.
Well, that was a great experience, and I thank you for including me in that. Back in those early days, we shared an office in the Republic Bank building, and we had me and my secretary and my father, Eric Johnson, and his assistant, Nell Johnston, who some of you may remember. And we worked together there for several years, quite a few years. And after one of the projects we finished, Nell came into my office with a book, and it was Journey to the East, and it was the story of the wise men in Europe who decided to seek wisdom in the Far East, and they set out camping on the way because there was no transportation in the early days. And she gave me that book, and the point of the book was that the least important member of the expedition, the one who built the fires, cleaned up the dishes, and generally did the chores that were needed, but was not a decision maker. He was the one who turned out to be the key member. He held the group together, and when they overworked him and he retired, the group fell apart, and there was no expedition to the east. I've long wondered, Nell, why did you give me that book? At that time, I think it was because I was so least important of the important people in that office. And it was very appropriate to give it to me. And so I did more little chores after that, as she hoped I would. But that's a great truth that's revealed in that book. And I think there's some similarities to tonight. I think in a way, the people in this room have set forth on a journey to the east, looking for wisdom. And I think this group will find a great deal of wisdom. So I wish you luck. I hope you go along on the trip. And I don't know what we'll find, except that conditions constantly change. And one condition that changed recently is our loss of Margaret McDermott. And she was a great contributor to the school, giving tens of millions of dollars. I don't know how many. And she'll be greatly missed, not only for that, but also for her guidance and thoughtfulness. She understood the way things work quite well. After I was discharged from the Army, honorably I might add, Margaret called me on the telephone. And she said, Philip, I'd like for you to become a director of the Dallas Symphony Orchestra. I said, but Margaret, I'm not even a subscriber to the symphony. She said, Philip, I didn't call you to hear your problems. I want you to be on that board. And I said, yes, ma'am. I went on the board for, I think, about 9 years, ended up being the president, and we worked hard. We met at 7 o'clock breakfast many mornings, but we got the symphony going. We got the financial problem solved, and we were ready for a decent place to play the concerts. At that point, I felt I couldn't give more time, and I told my associates that, and we approached Robert Deckard of the Dallas Morning News, and he took my job and did a magnificent job of constructing the hall. I'm sure many of you have been to Dallas Symphony concerts since that time. Well, I am quite honored to be honored here tonight. This is the highest honor I could hope for, and it is more than enough. I wish the greatest luck to the school. I think it's on a journey for wisdom, and I think it will be found in many ways. And I hope we'll never forget the people who chopped the wood and fixed the meals along the way. Thank you very much, and I wish you the best of luck.
Thank you so much. Can you take it? Thank you, Mr. Johnson, and thank you for being one of those individuals who have lit more than a few fires along the way as we've been on our journey as a great university. So Kyle, I turn it back to you in just a second here.
And I will just move away from there. We're going to take a few minutes, serve dinner. We'll come back and have the second part of our evening. So enjoy your dinner. Thank you very much. Before we recognize our remaining honorees this evening, I would like to once more thank Access, tonight's presenting sponsor. Yes. And I'm really pleased, it's my privilege to introduce John Olajide, Access's founder and CEO. John is a graduate of the Eric Johnson School of Engineering and Computer Science. He's a member of the university's executive board and himself a recipient of the UT Dallas Distinguished Alumni Award in 2016. He has been named chair-elect of the Dallas Regional Chamber and is a generous supporter of charitable causes throughout Dallas. So if you would, please join me in welcoming John Olajide.
Thank you, Kyle. Thank you. Thank you, Kyle, and once again, thank you to everyone here for joining us tonight. As Kyle said, I'm a UT Dallas graduate and had the honor of attending this gala as an award recipient just a few years ago. At the time, we did not have this beautiful, beautiful alumni center that we're celebrating in tonight. So it's exciting to be here tonight. And I'm thinking what a remarkable addition this is to our campus and a great way to help us alumni feel at home while we're at UT Dallas. I am proud to let you know that Access provides healthcare technology solutions to more than 7,000 organizations, serving over 2 million patients. I am proud of the work that we do at Access. And I'm always grateful and proud of the roots of our company that began right here at UT Dallas. It was during my years as an engineering student here that I first encountered the problems that Access was founded to solve. My education in the Johnson School gave me the tools that I needed to develop solutions to these problems and set me down the professional path that led to the creation of Access. The 5 honorees that were recognized tonight have all made valuable contributions to our society and to this university. But tonight is not just a celebration of these individuals. It's also a celebration of everything that UT Dallas does to make our community proud and a much better place. From research to educating generations of leaders and to inspiring partnerships in business and government, UT Dallas is a vital part of our North Texas region and quickly emerging as a major player on the world stage. You know, Amanda joked earlier that, John, every time you come here, your degree just got a lot more valuable, so I'm excited about that, of course. You know, I am proud of our recipients tonight and proud to be a sponsor of tonight's proceedings. But most of all, I'm very proud to be a member of the UT Dallas community. It means a lot to me. And I am sure that all the honorees here tonight feel the same. Congratulations and thank you to all of them for all the hard work to make our world a better place. Thank you.
Well, John, thank you, and thanks once again to Access for tonight's sponsorship of the evening. John, stay here with me, and Dr. Benson, you're coming up with me again. Here, come a little closer, both of you. That's okay. For a number of months, John has been visiting with President Benson, myself, and others. You know, deeply committed to making a difference in young lives, John has been exploring opportunities to make a greater impact in the life of our students. And just yesterday, John committed to $500,000, a gift that will establish an endowed scholarship to support students in the Eric Johnson School of Engineering and Computer Science. So please join me in thanking John and Access for their continued commitment to UT Dallas. Yes, you may go down now, John. Thank you. Wonderful. Thank you. Thank you again, Access and John. So please continue to enjoy your dinner as we resume our awards presentation. Also, I would like to recognize our musicians this evening, who are led by Eric Farrar, Assistant Dean of Undergraduate Studies in the School of Arts, Technology, and Emerging Communications. Thank you, Eric. Our next honoree of the evening is Angelica Barriga. Angelica will be receiving the Green and Orange Award, which is given to UT Dallas alumni and friends who provide faithful volunteer support and service to the university. Angelica received both her bachelor's and MBA from the Naveen Jindal School of Management. Building on her experiences at UT Dallas, Angelica has made a career in helping companies manage employee adoption through periods of transition. She currently serves as business planning manager at Google. Ever mindful of the human aspect of business and the importance of building a professional network, Angelica has provided valuable interactions and guidance for today's UT Dallas students. She serves as a mentor in the Naveen Jindal School of Management, participates in regular campus speaking engagements, and occasionally hosts dinners for our students. Through these and other efforts, Angelica helps students learn invaluable lessons as they develop into young professionals. Grateful for the financial aid support she received as an undergraduate, Angelica made the decision to impact generations of Jindal School students by establishing her own scholarship endowment in 2013. So let's hear a bit more about Angelica Barriga.
Hailing from the deserts of New Mexico, Angelica Barriga graduated from the University of Texas at Dallas with a bachelor's degree in business administration in 2003 and an MBA in 2008. The daughter of immigrants and a first-generation college graduate, Angelica completed her degrees while simultaneously holding a full-time job. Through the collective support of her husband, Roger, family members, co-workers, and friends, Angelica persevered and used her experiences at UT Dallas to begin a fulfilling career in business management. Currently working as a business planning manager at Google, Angelica credits the knowledge she gained at UTD in the field of organizational behavior with opening doors to opportunities she did not know existed. By learning how to merge a company's business interests with an awareness of its human aspect, Angelica became an expert in helping to manage change. Prior to working at Google, Angelica served in various business management positions at Fleet Pride, Adva Optical Networking, FedEx, and Cisco Systems. In each of these roles, she was pivotal in transforming organizations and improving employee adoption. In her free time, Angelica enjoys exploring the world with family and friends, including her most reliable travel companions, her husband of 15 years, and her mother. She delights in sharing new experiences with others and spending time with her 20 nieces and nephews. Angelica is an active supporter of Minnie's Food Pantry in Plano, Texas, and Operation Underground Railroad, an organization that helps rescue children from human trafficking. A strong proponent of the importance of professional networking, she also serves as a career mentor to several individuals each year. In gratitude for the scholarship support she received while at UT Dallas, Angelica created a scholarship within the Naveen Jindal School of Management to help future generations of students realize their dreams.
Escorted by Jindal School Dean Hassan Pirkul.
Thank you. That picture with the 12 comets was actually in our kitchen. I don't cook, and so I think that's the most action our kitchen has ever seen, right, hon? Yeah, they actually thought I had rented the space from an Airbnb for the event. I had to convince them, no, we actually live here. So I clearly remember talking with my husband years ago when I first wanted to establish an endowment. And I knew I wanted to pay it forward and truly accept the gifts of mentorship and financial aid that I received to help pay for a portion of my tuition. Establishing a scholarship seemed like a logical way of giving back, which we did, and we are grateful for the ability to have done so. However, going down that path with Alumni Services Directors Brittany and Olia, they quickly opened my eyes to the need and the value of also providing services to our students. Hosting career roundtables, speaking at student events, serving on university panels, students are able to ask us questions to someone who was once in their shoes at their university, our university. They ask tough questions too. So do you think a specialist versus a generalist is better? How did you get your job? What would you change about your career? Sharing our past experiences may seem like just that, but in reality, by doing so in these acts of service, we have the opportunity to give guidance we would have loved to have received early on. Share lessons learned and help students build their networks as they go out and become the leaders UTD is enabling them to be. I do it with pleasure and hope to continue to do so at every opportunity for the foreseeable future. I'm humbled by UTD's recognition of these efforts. Thank you very much.
The next part of our program recognizes those who have graduated from UT Dallas and who have gone on to make important contributions to their respective professions, their communities, and the university. So our first Distinguished Alumni Award recipient is Dr. Richard Danielson. Dick Danielson came to UT Dallas in the middle of his career with the United States Army, where he would serve as an audiologist for almost 30 years. At the time, Dick's work focused on preventing hearing loss in soldiers. He chose to pursue his PhD at the Callier Center for Communication Disorders due to the presence of two faculty members, Dr. Don Henderson and Dr. Dick Salvi, who were internationally recognized as preeminent researchers studying the effects of impulse noise on hearing. At UT Dallas, Dr. Danielson became a first-hand participant in research that would become a key reference point for the field up to the present day. His own professional work included a deployment to Saudi Arabia during Operation Desert Storm, and as part of the first audiology task force ever deployed to a combat theater. Dick would go on to serve as Director of Army Audiology and Speech Center at the Walter Reed Army Medical Center. After his military career, Dick continued to serve the country in the field of aerospace audiology with NASA. At the Johnson Space Center in Houston, Dick leads vital work preventing noise-induced hearing loss in astronauts and other ground-based employees. So let's take a closer look at Dr. Danielson.
Born in Valley City, North Dakota, Richard Danielson attended North Dakota State University on an Army ROTC scholarship during the Vietnam War. After learning about the Army's need for audiologists to combat the high rate of hearing loss in soldiers, Dick decided to earn a bachelor's degree in speech pathology and later received a master's degree in audiology from Minot State University. While in the midst of what would become a 28-year military career, Dick attended UT Dallas as part of the U.S. Army's civilian training program, where he worked alongside Dr. Don Henderson and Dr. Dick Salvi before earning his PhD in Human Development and Communication Sciences in 1987. At the Callier Center for Communication Disorders, Dick learned to combine the basic and applied sciences with clinical evaluation methods. This broad academic background served him well as he went on to direct the clinical, training, and research activities at the Army Audiology and Speech Center at Walter Reed Army Medical Center. Dick currently serves as manager for audiology and hearing conservation at the NASA Johnson Space Center in Houston, and is an associate professor of otolaryngology at the Baylor College of Medicine. His work preventing noise-induced hearing loss during spaceflight and ground missions has earned several professional accolades, including the Outstanding Hearing Conservationist Award from the National Hearing Conservation Association and NASA's Astronaut's Personal Achievement Award. Truly a champion for hearing conservation, many of Dick's hobbies have links to audiology. He serves on a number of professional boards and committees and particularly enjoys fruitful academic discussions with friends. In addition, Dick is passionately committed to his family, having raised 3 children, Claire, Peter, and Martin, with his wife, Laura. Grandparents to 6, the couple is active with their church and philanthropically involved with hearing-related causes.
And congratulating Dick Danielson for receiving the Distinguished Alumni Award. Dick will be escorted to the stage by Dr. Tom Campbell, Executive Director of the Callier Center for Communication Disorders.
I have some prepared remarks. Thank you. I'll page 1. I can say this without the script. Thank you for this incredible honor, for attending this gala, and for the distinguished group that's out here. Many of you are also distinguished UT alumni, and perhaps far more. It's been gracious for you to be able to be here with me tonight. I'm truly humbled, and it touches me. Now, I've had an opportunity to do some speeches before to accept a small award or two, but this is very grand, and tonight I'd like to do what I've not done well in the past. I'd like to, if you will, let me take my first comments on something that usually is last but not least. I want to thank my wife. No. Rather than tonight, I want to share with my message to her. Laura, I want to know that I'm indebted to you for your love and sacrifices in supporting our kids and me. While I was in my PhD research frenzy, it was you who calmly packed up our home in Arlington by yourself when you were 7 months pregnant with our third child. When I flinched at the idea of returning to graduate school, it was you who rocked my world when you said, sure, why wouldn't you, Dick, be able to get a PhD? I would not be here tonight if you had not erased that period of self-doubt then, as well as many other times. You've been incredible, and this evening is really a tribute to you as well. Thank you, dear. As you saw, I grew up in North Dakota. Ours was a home where education was highly valued. My mother was the teacher in the one-room school, and she married one of the bachelors and then moved in the 1930s into his home and raised her family of 5. By the time I came along, there wasn't much money for school, so I received an ROTC scholarship to get through school. And during my undergrad days, then as you see, I was steered towards this field of audiology because I had heard that there was a prevalence of hearing loss in the Army, and it sounded like a better opportunity for me to thrive than being a platoon leader in Vietnam. Later, the Army offered me this long-term civilian training for a PhD that could contribute to the health and performance of soldiers. And as you saw at the time, the UT Dallas program had an incredible research team, internationally known, headed by the late Don Henderson, who was systematically examining the scientific basis of noise-induced hearing loss. I'll never forget the first time that I heard Dr. Henderson speak in a conference. The room was packed, and I was at that time required to sit on the floor. And as I heard him describe in such clear and basic terms things that just blew me away, I sketched as rapid as I could, as many notes as I could, and drew some sketches of some graphs that I'd seen on the screen. A few years later, when I was accepted in the program and did my dissertation, I realized that I was refining those plots that I had seen on the napkin, and they became part of the standards that we now use in occupational and military noise standards. The UTD program and the Callier Center were a perfect match for my needs, with an integration of neuroscientists and hearing scientists. I gained a deep and solemn awe, to be sure, for the brain's intricate design and rich structure for recovery using parallel processing. I didn't spend much time here at the main campus. This may have been the 30th time I've even been at Richardson campus since 1984. I spent my time in Callier's labs downstairs, where I shared an office with a 20-foot-long acoustic shock tube, lived next to the animal lab, and I actually slept overnight many times in the cot in the Evoked Potentials lab so that I could finish my PhD degree in 3 years, like the Army said. However, when I needed a reality check, I found that I could return to clinical audiology by going upstairs and talking the second floor with Dr. Ross Roser. Ross, thank you for your mentorship when I was your student, when I followed you in roles in the Texas Academy of Audiology, for when I was an adjunct instructor at UT Dallas, and for being a valued friend. In case you didn't know it, UT Dallas is one of the premier audiology programs in the nation, certainly now. I'm proud of the continued research, productivity, and professional preparation done in my alma mater by your students. 2 have completed their NASA internships with me at Johnson Space Center, and just last Monday we announced that we were taking another intern for this summer. UTD's audiology program head, Dr. Colleen Laprelle, is an internationally recognized for her own research in otoprotectants and noise-induced hearing loss. Colleen, you are a jewel in the UTD faculty and a gem of a friend. I suspect that each of you here has had your moments that were pivotal in your career and training. I've mentioned only a little about how my family, professor, and colleagues have influenced pivots in my career's directions. I must admit that I've been fortunate to be in the right place at the right time When I was young, I certainly didn't seek or anticipate having a hands-on role in space medicine with astronauts and cosmonauts. However, I was incredibly fortunate to have enough family and colleagues who pointed out to me, hey, this is the right time, and you're the right person at this time to handle this now. On Monday, I'm speaking to some students here in Richardson, and will encourage them to recognize when they hear that same message. I'm encouraged by UTD's growth, entrepreneurial spirit, and their commitment to academic excellence. And of course, I'm immensely encouraged by your very kind gestures here this evening with this wonderful honor. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Dr. Danielson. Our final awardee of the evening is Venice Stewart, who will also be receiving the Distinguished Alumni Award. Venice is the embodiment of a servant leader in our community. From a very young age, she has dedicated her time, energy, and talent to scores of charitable causes and organizations, including the Girl Scouts, the Junior Leagues of Toronto and Dallas, the Crested Butte Music Festival, and Aware Dallas. Her leadership has been instrumental in motivating increased volunteer engagement and record fundraising for the organizations that she supports. While a student here at UT Dallas, Venice was elected vice president of the student body, serving alongside a friend who Venice convinced to run for president. Skills she acquired in that role, as well as through her coursework in the School of Management, helped lay a foundation for her future success. Today, Venice continues to direct support for initiatives around UT Dallas as well. During her tenure as president of AWARE, she ensured critical funds for research for the Center for Vital Longevity and the Center for Brain Health. And recently, she arranged for AWARE to participate in Dr. John McCaskill's Master's in Public Affairs capstone course in the School of Economic, Political, and Policy Sciences. As a civic leader, Venice's work has made a significant difference in thousands of lives and brought valuable awareness to deserving causes in her community. So let's learn a little bit more about Venice.
Houston native Venice Stewart's multi-decade dedication to civic leadership began at a young age. Encouraged by her parents to participate in regular volunteer work alongside her three sisters, Venice was an active Girl Scout through her high school years in Dallas and has long devoted herself to bettering her community. After earning a bachelor's degree in business and public administration, which she refers to as an engineering degree in business, along with a minor in psychology from the University of Texas at Dallas, Venice redoubled her efforts to make a difference wherever she lived. She chaired her first charity ball in the 1980s for the Women's Guild of United Cerebral Palsy, rising quickly in the organization from newcomer to a motivating leader. This pattern of rapidly taking on the mantle of responsibility would be replicated time and again as Venice's passion for service only grew in the years to come. When Venice and her husband Larry moved to Toronto, she became president of the Toronto Junior League, an organization she has remained involved with even after returning to Dallas. Currently, Venice is president of the Park Cities Historic and Preservation Society, president-elect of the Dallas Arboretum and Botanical Garden Women's Council, and holds leadership positions with the Dallas Symphony Orchestra League, the Junior League of Dallas, and Les Femmes du Mont. In addition to dozens of leadership roles with organizations in Texas and Ontario, Venice previously served as president of AWARE Dallas and as a board member for both the Ronald McDonald House of Dallas and Susan G. Komen. Venice has one son, Marcus, and two stepchildren, Susan and David. In her free time, she enjoys traveling, reading, cooking, tennis, skiing, and cheering on the Dallas Stars hockey team.
Congratulations, Venice. Please come forward to accept your Distinguished Alumni Award. Venice is escorted by Dean Hassan Pirkul.
try to keep this short, literally. And hope you can see me, because I know I'm short and I didn't ask for a platform, but I have to deal with those kind of short problems all the time. I'm honored to be standing here before you as a 2019 University of Texas at Dallas Distinguished Alumni Award honoree. When I graduated from UTD with a Bachelor of Science in Business and Public Administration in 1979, I had no idea where I was going or what I'd be doing. I think this is the feeling of many graduates. When I attended the University of Texas at Dallas, having attended UT Austin for 2 years and moving back to Dallas, go Comets, UTD was an upper division school. The only county community colleges being lower division classes where one could transfer to UTD and accomplish their 4-year degree. The major founders, Eric Johnson, Cecil Green, and Eugene McDermott, had a vision at the time and seeing a void fulfilled it for the Dallas community. Being such a new school and a small classes, maybe 1,200 in our program, having only 2 buildings, it doesn't look like that anymore. With classes mostly held in the evening, I was able to serve as Vice President of Student Government, and after taking leadership and training courses, we even helped incoming students enroll into the upper division classes being offered here at the time. Being a new sorry, I didn't really put my glasses on. And at that time, a small university, students were able to help in a lot of various ways. In visiting with Dr. Perkle the other day, I learned that I was one of about 50 who had graduated with a Bachelor of Science in BAPA, as the program had only begun in 1975. Back then, I didn't carry a computer in a backpack or a cell phone in my pocket, or a phone, basically. The only mail was delivered by a mailman, and phone calls were on a landline. And people really had to return those phone calls, and you had to find a phone and maybe a quarter. Communications was important when I began doing my volunteer work. From the day my sisters and I began knocking on doors, selling Girl Scout cookies, to fundraising for the Junior League of Dallas, serving as a board member for the Dallas Symphony Orchestra League, incoming president for the Women's Council of the Dallas Arboretum and Botanical Garden, leading the Aware Dallas Board as president for 2 years, and in various other roles for nonprofits in Dallas and Toronto. Communications was and still is the key. I've been lucky to have a supportive family, my husband, my son, my stepchildren, and my sisters. I've also been lucky to have great support from many, many friends who also believe in the importance of giving back to the community. And giving back to the community is something that I feel passionate about. It's how I've become known as a civic leader, which surprises me because I didn't try to become a civic leader. It was just natural for me. Civic leaders are defined as a person who rules or guides or inspires. Thomas Ehrlich from the Carnegie Foundation for the Advancement of Teaching states that when you volunteer your time, your skills, knowledge, and enthusiasm to promote the quality of life in your community, or when you find ways to positively impact individuals, organizations, and issues and contribute to the common good of a community, that is civic engagement. And when you are civically engaged, you are a leader. That is a civic leadership. Well, I love to inspire people to bring out their best. I love to guide people to the right conclusion and not be afraid to grow and think outside the box, to come to a conclusion that is best for all, and I am enthusiastic and passionate about what I do. I want to do well, and at the same time, I want to inspire the people that support what I'm doing. I do this by communications, keeping the door open to new ideas and advancing those that need the confidence to accept new and perhaps diverse challenges. I now carry a computer in my backpack, and I always have my cell phone. I want to sincerely thank UTD for this honor, and I am privileged to be standing alongside these other distinguished honorees here tonight, the past and the future. I am thankful to be a UTD graduate, and I promote the university as often as I can. I have been lucky to have served as a volunteer with Aware Dallas, where it was mentioned the Center for Vital Longevity and the Center for Brain Health, both supported by UTD, have made an impact in the areas of brain health and Alzheimer's. Aware Dallas was also a beneficiary of a most recent capstone project. Due to the growth and the high expectations of the founders in the past 40 years that I attended, UTD has reached global status and will continue to do so in the future. So as you can see, UTD Dallas helped me in many ways to achieve my personal goals: communications, develop a hard work ethic, and create time management skills, and the ability to help others achieve their goals. I've had many mentors along the way. UT Dallas was definitely one of the most important influencers in my life. Thank you.
So Venice, it is rare that someone moves the microphone down after I speak, so I apologize that I didn't do that. Well, Mike Brody is supposed to close us out, and he will, but I was thinking as the evening progressed that Mike was recognizing all the former honorees, and he didn't recognize himself, but Mike himself is a distinguished alumni a few years ago. He's been a personal friend to me, and we really value his leadership as our board chair for the executive board. So Mike, thank you for being here. You can close us out.
And I'll move it up. Thank you, Kyle. What a, you never know what to anticipate. And just from Fred and your well-spoken words, you never know when cutting ads out of Yellow Pages and knowing somebody that owns a bicycle shop that happens to be the mayor of Fort Worth that can change the direction of a university. So thank you. It's just those little steps. And to Mr. Johnson, what a humbling experience to have you here. Not only your legacy, but your words of wisdom. Don't forget those who chop wood, build fires, clean dishes, and create paths for themselves as well as us. And Venice, where's Venice? You don't need a platform to stand tall. You're amazing, thank you, and all the others as well. So that's awesome. So, wow, what a wonderful evening here at UT Dallas. Congratulations again to all of our very deserving honorees. Let's give them another round of applause, all inclusive. Beautiful, beautiful. Ladies and gentlemen, we're nearly ready to conclude our program tonight, but before we adjourn, I just have a few items to clean up and mention. First, I'd like to acknowledge the hard work of the university staff whose efforts made this evening possible. They're amazing. It certainly takes a team to ensure an event like this that appears effortless. And thank you again for all of you in joining our celebrations tonight. Your support truly embodies the Comet spirit, still undefeated in football. Please save the date for next year's gala. We'll save the dates out to you, but it's May 2nd. It's a little bit later next year, May 2nd, 2020. We have a very special evening planned in honor of UT Dallas's 50th anniversary next year. This is going to be a big one. 50. That's a birthday most of you are looking forward to personally as well, I'm sure. Immediately following this program, we ask that all of tonight's honorees, listen carefully, all of tonight's honorees, as well, all past honorees, not just tonight, join us on stage for a group photo. I'd now like to invite you all to continue the celebration by joining us for a dessert reception just out the doors in the Texas Instruments Inspiration Hall. Thank you, good night, God bless you, and God bless the University of Texas, Dallas. Thank you for being here.